Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so today we've got a stack of Tamiya performance data.
Mm-hmm.
And our mission really is to cut through some of the confusion surrounding their electric motors.
Yeah, it's a big lineup.
It is. We're looking at the motor as like the heart of the RC car, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we want to figure out torque and speed across the range.
And that's the tricky part, because the way they list the specs isn't always consistent.
So.
Well, for the brush motors, you usually get an actual torque number. It makes it pretty straightforward to compare.
Okay.
But then you jump to brushless, and it's all kV ratings and turn counts. It's more about, like, potential speed, not raw force directly.
Right, so you've got mechanical force versus this electrical velocity rating.
Yeah.
Not exactly apples to apples, is it?
Not at all. So what we figured we'd do is tackle it in two parts.
Okay.
First, let's get a definitive ranking for the brush motors. We need to standardize those torque figures.
Get them all speaking the same language,
Yeah.
basically.
Exactly. Then second part, we'll decode what's going on with brushless performance, the physics behind it, to sort of estimate a hierarchy there.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
So starting with brushed, you mentioned standardizing. What are we standardizing from and to?
Good question. Historically, Tamiya used gram 4 centimeters.
Yep.
GFCM. Got old school.
Right.
We need that in the standard international unit, millinewton meters, M&M. Just involves a little conversion factor, about 0.098.
Okay, so doing that math gets everything level. What shakes out at the top then?
Well, you get a really clear picture. There's actually a four-way tie for the highest torque.
4 motors. Which ones?
Yep. It's the Superstock RZ, the TZ, the BZ, and also the GT Tuned motor. They all clock in right around 49 millinema.
49? Okay, that's the ceiling for brush torque then.
That's it.
But hang on, if they're all the same peak torque,
Mhm.
why 4 different motors? What's the difference?
Yeah, it's about how they deliver that torque. It comes down to their tuning, mostly RPM.
Okay.
So the RZ, that stands for Rev Tuned.
Okay.
Highest RPMs, 27,500. Built for pure top-end speed.
Got it. Speed demon.
Then the TZ is Torque Tuned. Slightly lower RPM, 26,500.
Yeah.
But designed for, like, better punch out of corners. More immediate grunt.
Okay, for technical tracks maybe.
Exactly. And the BZ is sort of similar, often aimed at off-road buggies. Then there's the GT Tune.
Yeah, what's its story? Same torque, you said?
Same 49 millim peak, yeah. But it's a 25-turn motor, much lower RPM, only 19,000.
Whoa, that's way lower. Why?
Durability and efficiency. It's designed for endurance racing, where you need the motor to last and not overheat, rather than just raw speed bursts.
Makes sense. Okay, and before we leave brushed, what about the classic upgrades, like the Sport Tuned?
Yes, the RS540 Sport Tuned. That's the iconic first hop-up for many people. It gives you about 34 millim.
Which is still a nice jump from the standard kit motor, right? What's that now?
The current standard is usually the RS540's Torque Tuned, the silver can, and that's sitting at about 30 millim. So yeah, Sport Tuned is a noticeable step up.
Okay, so 49 millim is the brushed peak. What happens when we switch to brushless? What gives them potentially so much more power?
Right, that's where the specs change. The main number you see is kV.
kV, what does that actually mean?
It's the motor's velocity constant, RPM per volt. So it tells you, unloaded, how fast the motor wants to spin for every volt you feed it.
Example.
Sure, like a common Tamiya brushless might be 3,370 kV. Put that on a standard 7.4-volt LiPo battery.
You multiply them.
Yep, 370 times 7.4. You're looking at almost 25,000 RPM potential. With no load, of course.
Okay, so that relates to speed potential. But where's the torque in that? How do we figure out pulling power from kV?
Okay, this is the key bit. There's a fundamental relationship in motor physics. Torque is proportional to the current the motor draws.
More current, more torque.
Generally, yes. But it's torque equals current times the torque constant, which you call KT.
KT, okay, another constant.
And here's the crucial part. KT is inversely proportional to kV. Roughly, KT is like 1 divided by KT.
Oh, inversely. So low kV means high KT.
Exactly. That's the aha moment. A low kV motor, say a 21.5 turn, which might be around 1800 kV, has a high VT, meaning it produces torque very efficiently. It doesn't need to draw massive amounts of current to generate good twisting force. That's why they feel smooth, give great control, and often longer run times. Think stock racing classes.
Okay, I get it. So the flip side. High kV.
High kV, like maybe a 10.5 turn motor at 3,370 kV or even higher, that has a low KT.
So to make big torque.
It has to suck a huge amount of current from the battery in ESC, and that's where the massive power comes from. It's less efficient maybe, but the sheer current flow allows for that explosive acceleration and really high overall power potential you see in modified racing.
Right. It can just handle way more electrical power throughput.
Precisely.
So for someone maybe upgrading from brush, looking for a good all-rounder brushless for, say, a modern kit like a TT02, what's a good starting point?
Yeah, for general use, club racing, that kind of thing, the Tamiya TBLM 02S 15.5 turn is often recommended. It's around 2300 kV.
So kind of in the middle.
Exactly. It offers a really significant performance jump over any brush motor, but it's usually manageable, efficient enough, and balances speed and torque well.
But you got to match the motor to the car, right? Can't just throw a super hot brushless into anything.
Oh, absolutely not. Especially with vintage chassis. Think about like an original Grasshopper or Hornet. Their gearboxes are not designed for modern brushless power.
Yeah, you'd shred gears.
You would. For those older, more fragile designs, honestly, the RS540 Sport Tuned is probably the sensible maximum. It's a good boost, but it won't likely destroy the drivetrain immediately.
Okay, safety first. What about specialized uses like trucks or crawlers? They need torque, not necessarily screaming RPMs.
Right, totally different requirement. For pure rock crawling, where you need precise low-speed control and pulling power, you'd look at something like the CR Tuned motor. It's a 35-turn brushed motor, very low 12,000 RPM.
Slow and steady.
Yeah, all about control. And then for Tamiya's big 1.13 scale tractor trailers, there's the TR Torque Tuned. That's a 33-turn, again, designed specifically for hauling weight, not speed runs.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what are the main takeaways for you listening?
Well, I think two main things. First, on the brush side, the top performers, that Superstock series and the GT Tune, they peak around 49 milliNewton of torque. That's the limit.
That's second point.
Second, any decent entry-level brushless motor fundamentally has a higher potential power ceiling. Not necessarily higher peak torque on paper, maybe, but because they can handle so much more current, their overall power output can be vastly greater.
So the real choice isn't just about the highest number on the spec sheet.
Definitely not. The optimal motor isn't just the one with the highest torque number. It's the one whose characteristics, whose performance curve fits your chassis, its durability, and where you're actually running it. Track, dirt, rocks, whatever.
Right. So final thought to leave people with.
Yeah, think about this. Beyond the main specs we talk about, turns, kV, even peak torque, what's that often overlooked internal factor that really shapes how the motor feels and performs? Is it the strength of the magnets, the specific material used for the brushes in a brushed motor? Or maybe the motor's internal timing advance, something subtle like that, often makes the biggest difference in the real world.